Strongpoint is a managed package that's built entirely inside your Salesforce org. And it's being designed to help streamline and automate how you document system customizations and changes, perform impact analysis and change management, and achieve SOX compliance. In the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through a quick demo of some key features of the tool. To start, our system documentation gives you great visibility into how your system is being customized. So for example, on this screen, I've pulled up critical access across all of our objects. So I've got object, the different profiles and permission sets, and what level of access they have across. It's a great way to give you kind of a one-stop shop to see access and report on any changes that have happened over time. You can also do things like analyze dependencies. So if I pull up the account object, for example, I get a visual representation that shows me all of the fields on the account object, and I can click through and see any dependencies that might exist. So this multi-pick list, for example, is showing up in a number of list views and reports, an approval process, and a couple workflow rules, an Apex class, as well as a number of layouts. And you'd be able to immediately see that this isn't an easy change to make. You might want to dig into it for some more detail. So you can come in and open up this record and get an overview of configuration, who originally built it, when it was last modified, usage of the field, or permissions if applicable. So the other thing that you can see here is also change logs. So once Strongpoint has been installed, we're going to capture time-stamped, date-stamped logs of any change that happens and store them indefinitely. Here's just a quick example of what that layout looks like. You'll see who made the change, when they did it, and we'll show you a few different layouts of exactly what the change was. So highlighted new values and old values, just a short summary, or a full side-by-side. Now with Strongpoint automatically tracking all metadata changes, what you can also do is build out a policy that defines what changes are critical, which ones need to have a process, which ones you would want to be flagged if they didn't follow the right process. So here, for example, I'd be able to put in, say, a SOX compliance policy and go out and set up different levels of change control for different types of changes. So I can say that code and data model changes, for example, require an approved change request. Same thing can go for automation changes and sharing and visibility. The list goes on. Or you could go and you could customize these more specifically and say, for example, any changes that impact this object or anything on it requires an approved change request, whereas other changes inside the org don't quite matter as much. Now, so far, we've always been talking about metadata, but the same principle can also apply to data. And in this case, even application configuration data, which is often very relevant for those using CPQ and billing. And that's kind of the next demo that I'll walk you through quickly. So what I've put up here on the list is a custom list view that shows all custom objects within your CPQ and advanced approval packages. And I've gone through and I've selected a number of those objects where I want to have changes to data records tracked, and even one where I want to have them blocked. So I'll give you a quick demo of what this looks like in real time. If I go into CPQ and I make changes to things like price actions, so changing the discount values being applied based on certain criteria, I'll make a couple of those real quick here. So changing discount values, you can also go in and make changes to things like block prices. So if the quantity is between 21 and 51, I want to be billing $50 instead. Now, all of these have gone through just like they normally would. Now, this fourth that I go to do, this is the one that I said I wanted to have blocked as well. So as I hit save, I'm going to get a quick error that pops up and says that I need to have an open and approved change request in order to update this record. All of the other ones are just going to be tracked and will generate change logs for them. So that's what I'll show you here next. So Strongpoint has gone in, as you can see, created 3 time-stamped, date-stamped logs for the data changes that I just made within CPQ. You can see that all of them have a CPQ pricing policy that applies, which basically means that I went in and I said that I wanted to have these data records tracked, and then I linked those to a policy. And so it's a great way for you to filter against what changes need to go through what process, or in this case, it's showing that these changes are impacting CPQ, which is important for SOX compliance because it could also impact revenue recognition and financial reporting. Now, when I look at these, I can see that 2 of them were automatically flagged as compliant. And the reason that they were compliant is because we had a change request in the system ahead of time that referenced this specific change and was approved. So you can do these kinds of change requests inside Strongpoint, but we also integrate with Salesforce cases, Jira, ServiceNow, as well as Zendesk. And there's a number of other ways that you can integrate other ticketing systems if you're using one. So this is a great way to prove that change to critical data was actually planned for and approved and tracked, and therefore it's flagged as compliant. Now this last one, for example, if we dig in, it's showing up as non-compliant. And the reason for that is that we went in and we changed something that was being tracked, and it was linked to our CPQ pricing policy. So you can see that there's a timestamp, date stamped record of who changed what, exactly what that change was. This is showing up in the same format as those metadata change logs that I showed you earlier, but now this is for data. But the difference here is that the pricing policy applies, but we couldn't find a related change request anywhere. In other words, this is a change that violated a policy and didn't follow the right process, so we flagged it for your review. So this is an example of a great way to help streamline how you track critical changes inside your org. This is exactly the type of control that your auditors are going to want to see if you're going to easily pass audit. Now, if any of this piqued your interest, or if you're interested in anything else that we do, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to set up a short call or just provide you with some additional resources that you might not be able to find on the website. You can reach out through the AppExchange or on our website directly. We're looking forward to being in touch soon. Thank you.